Hey viewers, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to look at the option explicit statement in VBA. Now I highly recommend that you enable this, either manually type it in at the top of each module, or even easier, you go to the tools menu, click options, and then check the box require variable declaration and click OK. So what that will do is whenever you create a new module, VBA will automatically insert that statement for you. So what is it and why should you enable it? So with option explicit, VBA will require you to declare any variables before you can use them. So you're probably asking, why would I enable something that's going to force me to do extra work? Now, to be honest, I can't think of any good reason you wouldn't enable it. So we're going to focus on the benefits. So I've listed a few of the main benefits here, and we're going to go through them one by one. So the first one is efficient memory allocation. With variables that haven't been declared, VBA is going to set its data type to a variant. And that means it can hold pretty much any type of data, a string, a long, an integer, even an object such as a range or a worksheet. And because VBA doesn't know what type of data will be stored in that variable until runtime, it's going to allocate more memory than it otherwise would. When you have many of these variables, it can lead to inefficient memory allocation, and that's going to impact your macros performance. So the next benefit we're going to look at is that it catches misspelled variable names. These can lead to unexpected results and errors at runtime. So I'm going to demonstrate this with an example. Firstly, I'll disable option explicit. So here I've declared a variable as string, and then I'm storing the value from C4 into the variable and then display its value using a message box. Now, one thing you should get into the habit of doing is compiling your project. VBA is an interpreted language, so it translates the code line by line at runtime. And so it won't pick up certain compile or syntax errors until it actually executes that line of code or section of code. And by then you may have handed over to the user. So to compile your project is pretty easy. You just go to the debug menu and click compile VBA project. And that's it. So in this case, I don't have option explicit enabled, so it doesn't pick up on the error. So I hand over to the user and they run the macro, and instead of seeing the employee's name, they get a blank. And they reach out to you, and upon investigation, you realize it was just a simple typo. However, that could be embarrassing. Now, had you had option explicit enabled, it would have highlighted the issue right away. So if I click on debug, compile, and you get the error message, compile error, variable not defined. And upon closer inspection, you realize that it was misspelt. So once I fix it, debug, compile, no issue. The user runs it, and now they get the expected result. Now this was a simple example, and you probably would have picked up that issue during your testing. However, with more complex macros, it may require more troubleshooting. So by enabling option explicit and running the compile regularly as you're developing your code, it can help you pick up these issues early on and resolve them before you hand over to the user. Now the next benefits, I'm going to tie the two together, and these are IntelliSense Properties menu and IntelliSense Autocomplete. So when you declare variables, whether you use option explicit or not, it gives you access to the IntelliSense feature. So this line of code assigns the range C4, C13 to a variable called RNG source, and because it's an object, we have to use the set statement. Now this should have been declared as a range. However, it hasn't been declared, and so what happens is when I type RNG src dot, it should pop up the IntelliSense properties menu. And I'll give you an example with the worksheet here. This is the code name of the worksheet. If you're not familiar with that, please check out my how to reference worksheets video as I go into detail there. So it's just another name for the worksheet. And as you see, this is an object. As I type dot, it gives me this pop-up. And here it gives you all these properties and methods that you can use against this object. So it's quite useful. You may forget the name of a particular property or method that you wanted to use, and you can scroll through the list and find it. It also shows you any parameters that are associated with it, and you may come across some that you didn't even know existed, and they may be of use to you sometime in the future. So IntelliSense properties menu is a very good tool for helping you learn as well. So let me declare the variable as range. And now as I type the variable name and press dot, I get the IntelliSense properties menu pop up. I could double click say on address or press tab and it adds it to the code. Space to give me the parameters. If it's a function, so it returns a value, as is in this case, you could also put in the brackets. So very useful feature to have. So I mentioned autocomplete. So whenever you declare a variable, whether you have Option Explicit enabled or not, you have access to the IntelliSense autocomplete. So you can type part of the variable name and hold Control and press space, and it will complete the rest of it. This also works with function names and subroutines. So for example, Option X, if I hold Control, press space, it completes the rest of the subroutine name. This is useful if you have other functions or subroutines that you're calling and they're long names. If you do a partial match that returns more than one result, it'll give you a list. So if I just type RN and Control space, you can see it's returned more than a few matches. So I can go through here and select the one I want. And again, double click or even a tab. So it's a very useful feature to have as well. So declare your variables. Even if you declare it as a variant, it will let you use the autocomplete. But if you don't declare it and VBA sets its data type to variant, that won't work. And lastly, improved code readability. If someone comes along in future to look at your code, perhaps you've moved teams or you're leaving the company, by declaring your variables, you're helping them understand what your intention was. It may also benefit you if you haven't looked at the macro for quite some time and the user comes along and asks for some more changes. So that's Option Explicit. Use it, just set and forget, and it will help you in the long run. Thank you for watching the video. If you found it useful, please hit the like button. Also subscribe to the channel so that you keep up to date with any future videos. If you have any questions or would like to see something in a future video, please post it in the comments below. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next video.